What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tooned Up on the Renegade Pop Culture podcast feed. My name is Mike. I am your host as always, and joining me is my co-host, Cameron.
Howdy, howdy.
And Jacob.
Hey, what's up?
Now, we have a very animal-themed episode today. Our two feature films that we'll be discussing are A Whisker Away and Marona's Fantastic Tale. But first, a little bit of news. Cameron, what do you got?
Well, first off, we have the WETA Digital, the CG special effects studio founded by Peter Jackson, is going to make a spinoff studio that will focus on animation. So we'll see like TV and film features for both theater and digital distribution.
And this is the story that I was the most excited to talk about. Not just because of, the prestige of having Peter Jackson's company diving headfirst into animation, but also kind of a selfish reason that I hope it was not actually mentioned anywhere in the original article, but it's been my hope ever since the first movie came out that we got a sequel to The Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah, no, it's not really. I guess I wouldn't call it selfish when that was like the first thing on everyone's mind when this announcement came. So they're like, Adventures of Tintin 2 when? And
exactly.
Yeah. No, this will be great because WETA Digital does some of the best visual effects that you can find. And if they get like the right teams of people and directors and visual like people on board, I think they could put out some really good looking movies. Like, I don't want it to see them do like photorealistic CGI. We kind of got that already with like Love, Death, and Robots. And the fun of animation, and I think what Peter Jackson knows, animation is limitless. We've said this before. You can go anywhere with it. But we'll have to see what kind of projects come down the line. This was just recently announced. They don't really have anything in production yet. Of
course. Jacob, what say you?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The more the merrier, basically. I know I mentioned in the mental health podcast that I wasn't really crazy about Tintin when I first saw it. But recently, these past few weeks, it's really grown on me. I've revisited a couple of times. I've saw clips of it, and I don't know what led me to dislike it at first, but I have a much warmer opinion about it than I did originally, and I'm looking forward to this. If it's anything like the last one, it will be a lot of fun. You're right, Cameron. Like we're kind of sick of photorealistic animation at this, like especially particularly motion capture. And that was what The Adventures of Tintin remedied back when it was released. Because even when I didn't like it, I still really respected the heck out of the fact that they went with more caricaturish designs than the Robert Zemeckis movies that were plaguing the cinemas before that, like The Polar Express and Beowulf and A Christmas Carol and Mars Needs Moms. And yeah, I'm excited to see it. I'm sure that a sequel to Tintin has been on Peter Jackson's mind. I'm pretty sure since he founded this, because the idea with The Adventures of Tintin, what the original movie was, that Spielberg was going to direct the first one and Jackson was going to direct the second one.
Yep.
And that'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a really cool idea. And recently, Peter Jackson, he's been into making documentaries, like the amazing They Shall Not Grow Old, where he restored World War I footage to an amazing degree. And he's doing the same thing with a Beatles documentary. It's about the making of their album Get Back. So, like he's moved on to other projects since the Hobbit trilogy, which thank God, because I think you can tell from the Hobbit that he was having severe burnout from this type of movie. And with the new WETA animation studio, I hope he goes nuts. I hope he finds different ventures. I hope he finds different ways of utilizing this amazing technology that his crew has at its disposal.
The quote in the article that really piqued my interest is when he said, "That's in part why we have created this company, to change the model and open the doors to filmmakers and storytellers who might not otherwise be given the chance to show what they can do." Because one thing Peter Jackson has been really good at is, as a producer, like giving new filmmakers the chance to show what they can do behind the camera.
Yeah, and even if all of them have not been successful, I still do not like Mortal Engines. I'm sorry. It's still like good because we need fresh talent. We need new storytellers, and this could be helpful because we've seen this like bear fruit. This kind of like, okay, we're going to make sure we give new voices to the world of animation. Netflix, Klaus, won an Annie, was Oscar nominated. And then like the Willoughbys, which is probably the most unique looking animated film of 2020 so far, if you're not counting the indie and foreign animation scene. So I think this will be good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's next?
All right. So second, Studio Ghibli's first CGI animated film, Aya and the Witch, which is being directed by Goro Miyazaki, Miyazaki's son, has revealed its first, screenshot images, I guess you could say. Like, I'm not entirely sure how to describe it. But it's based off of the book of the same name. And I know there's definitely been some kind of pushback and polarizing reception to the images at hand.
Not surprising.
But because, when you think of Studio Ghibli, you think of those lush, beautiful 2D animated sequences and whatnot. Even though, a lot of Studio Ghibli films from later on use CGI all over the place if you know where to look. But that's just me. And I know a lot of people are kind of hesitant about it because of Ronja CGI, but I don't blame him or Ghibli for that. Polygon Pictures did the animation for Ronja the Robber's Daughter, and I'm not a full fan of Polygon Pictures. So the unfortunate thing is we don't know too much about the rest of the film. Like, we don't know the cast or what animation studio is helping out with the CGI.
Or whether or not we'll even get an English dub.
Yeah, but I'm sure with G Kids and whatnot, they will probably pick this one up. The fun fact of it is that this was supposed to appear at cons this year, but everything going on.
Oh, right.
And it was going to appear there alongside Pixar's Soul. And I know, I get it. Japan does not have the best CGI history. They're still pretty new to it. And a lot of early, like late 90s, early 2000s stuff does not hold up at all. It ages quite badly. But with stuff like Beastars and Dorohedoro and the new Lupin the Third film, they're getting the hang of it. I think there's not a whole lot to worry about. But looking at the designs, it's going to really depend on how they move. I think that's going to be the make it or break it point, since Japanese animation is a little more limited. They don't use as many frames or movements. They try to keep it as tight as possible until, they decide to go all out. But what do you two think?
I'm of two minds. On the one hand, I like how Miyazaki's son is trying his best to kind of step out of his father's shadow, and by embracing CG animation, he's kind of, and if this goes well, like this is proof of concept that he can form his own identity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That, however, what worries me is obviously I'm not going to be thrilled with having to hear constant comparisons between this movie and all of Miyazaki's classics, because that's just inevitable.
Right.
But I'm really hoping for the best. But yeah, between this and the new Lupin the Third, this could be Japan's 1995. You know how Disney and Pixar like went straight to the moon once Toy Story became a hit. And this,
right.
like, if these two do well, then that could start a whole new golden age for CG animation in Japan.
Jacob, any thoughts?
Well, since I am a huge Studio Ghibli fan, I am obligated to say that a CGI Ghibli movie is complete blasphemy. No, but seriously, I honestly I think it looks fine. I think this is gonna be as good a look as you're gonna get from a Ghibli movie in CGI. I think. And the thing is, with Ronya the Robber's Daughter, that was actually done in cell shaded animation, so it didn't look as good as it does. This looks better than Ronya, honestly, because the characters kind of looked like puppets. They kind of moved. They kind of had stiff animation. I mean, that was kind of forgivable because that was a TV show, and
you can't expect the same results when this is going to be a movie. It's going to look better.
Okay. And also, I think there are a lot of jerks on the internet that are going to be like, well, of course this is by Goro Miyazaki, the guy who directed the worst Ghibli film, Tales from Earthsea, and
that's just uncalled for.
Yeah. I actually, because I'm a Studio Ghibli fan, I actually like Tales from Earthsea. I'm a huge Ghibli fan. I'm pretty much obligated to see I have a rosier opinion of that than more casual Ghibli fans, and even some other diehard Ghibli fans. But yeah, and he also directed From Up on Poppy Hill, which his dad Hayao Miyazaki helped make, and that was really good, I thought. And like Goro, he is a good director. He does kind of have his identity in that he kind of makes films similar to his father's films, but not really. That they certainly doubt. Like a running theme throughout his movies, I've noticed, is absentee fathers. Basically,
that sounds about right.
Yeah. Also,
go ahead.
I'll just say one more thing and then you take it. I'm actually friends with someone in Pakistan. His name is Usman Riaz. He has his own animation studio called Mono Animation Studios, and he is working on a very Ghibli-esque film called The Glass Worker. And I talk with one of his animators often about certain things that pop up in the animation world, and I asked him what Usman thought of it, if he thought it was blasphemy too, like a lot of other Ghibli fans are, and he says he looks exciting, and he's looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at one of the images right now, and I've kind of fallen in love with this image of the two. I'm gonna guess these are the witches. I'm guessing because I don't know much about this source material. Sitting on top of what looks like a car, and the male witch is just kind of leaning against it. I don't know, with how samey a lot of CGI animation can be, I can't hate these designs. They look great. Yeah, no, that's the unfortunate the cloud looming over Goro is because he is the son of Hayao Miyazaki, and yeah. Even if people say Tales from Earthsea is the worst Ghibli film, I guess quote unquote worse, it still has a lot of good elements to it. It's still a pretty good watch. Granted, the third act is kind of but all things considered, I still think Pom Poko is the worst movie that they've made. But even then, it's hard to say that they have a legit bad movie. This isn't like Pixar where you're pretty okay with all the movies, or you love them,
except for that
Cars
one or
2.
two.
Cars
Yeah,
2.
except for
Yeah.
Cars 2.
And the
Uh,
dinosaur.
but yeah, like I get it. I get the fear of Japan getting into CGI animation. There's been a pretty bad track record, and you need to not look any further than the Berserk series.
Ooh,
That
ouch.
one's like you've probably seen the memes of it. But like I said, this is going to be a feature film budget. It's going to look better. It's probably going to be stylized like crazy. I think everyone should just give it a shot if they can see it.
I certainly plan on checking this one out. If for no other reason, I just want to know more about the Geddy Lee looking fellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
He does
right.
look pretty Lee.
Yeah. Shall we move on to, I guess, the last bit of news?
Sure. What do you got?
All right. So, Daria, one of the most popular late 90s, I guess, adult animated shows. Like, I don't remember too much about it, but I kind of put it up there with like King of the Hill and whatnot in terms of quote unquote adult animation. A little more laid back, a little more character driven, not like violence or shock value wise.
Right.
Is getting a spin-off series called Jodie, following the obvious character Jodie. And it's going to be about her leaving high school and going through college. And it's going to be premiering on Comedy Central. I have a few thoughts about that. First off, it's been 18 years since Daria left the airwaves. I don't think I'd be shipping this around to a TV channel because nobody's going to know about Daria unless you spend time on the internet, or you were introduced to Daria as a show, or go way back further when Daria was a background character in Beavis and Butthead.
Wow, that's going back.
Yeah, that's going way back. You can even see a prototype Hank Hill if you know with one of the characters.
Yeah.
Second, Comedy Central does not have a good track record with animation. Yes, they have South Park. That's it.
They tried with Futurama. They tried with some other series.
They tried with like Drawn Together, and then that neon vibrant 80s action comedy show that a lot of people unfortunately compared to Arthur. Not Arthur.
Arthur?
No, not Arthur. No, that's
I know what you mean.
Archer.
Yeah, that's the one.
I was in the same letter category. With Archer, and that one died off, and then it just seems like any other time they have an animated show on there, it just lasts a season because it's not all that good. And it's not like they don't have other, like, I guess, quote unquote classic cartoons, but South Park has been their bread and butter, and they haven't really given anything else a chance. And it's the SpongeBob effect, because nothing's as big as South Park. It's not going to get a second season. I would have pushed this onto Netflix, unless there is just absolutely something we're not aware of with this show, even though it has people like Tracy Ellis Ross, as the adult Jodie Landon character. And I'm kind of mixed about it, but some other adult animation news we have is that Solar Opposites, the Hulu show by one of the co-founders of Justin Roiland of Rick and Morty.
Oh yeah, Justin Roiland and Mike McMahon.
Yeah. Sorry if we get this wrong. It has been renewed for 2 seasons, so season 2 and 3 will be coming to Hulu at a later date. And the new adult animated show from the producers of Robot Chicken, Crossing Swords, has been renewed for a 2nd season.
Nice. I still have to watch that, but the news that it's getting a 2nd season is very very reassuring.
they obviously have faith. But yeah, any quick thoughts about this? About any of these animation news?
About the Daria spinoff, I understand why it would go on Comedy Central just from a corporate perspective, since that's under the same umbrella as like MTV, Nickelodeon, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, just if you're gonna put it on cable, why not just put it on MTV or one of their many spin-off channels? Hell, why not just like have both Daria and the spin-off available on Netflix or CBS All Access? There are more visible platforms that you can put this on than a cable network that will not give a show not named South Park the time of day.
No, it reminds me of this quick little jab from a Gabriel Iglesias special, the one special that fits all. He's talking to a light guy, and he's just like, "Hey, it's like, can you make sure the light follows me? It's like any other time this would be okay, but this is for Netflix. It's the thing that's replacing Comedy Central."
Wow.
So, yeah, that's why I'm a little worried about how long this show will go, even though it has Tracy Ellis Ross from the hit show Blackish on it. I just want it to thrive and survive.
Same.
Jacob, any thoughts about Jodie?
No, I've never seen Daria. Is Mike Judge involved in this at all?
No, I don't think he is.
Oh, well, and then I this has a lot going against it then, and also because it's going to a cable channel and not on Netflix. It, like that's just a real reflection of the times we're living in, because wasn't there a time when Netflix, when streaming was just kind of seen as just this ho hum sort of platform, and that TV was where the real quality stuff was on?
Yeah, yes. And like, even though Jodie is being created by Grace Nikinji Edwards, who has Insecure and Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt on her resume, it's kind of weird to see something like this going to a cable channel, because everyone's kind of moving towards streaming platforms. And Nickelodeon kind of got a firsthand account of how profitable nostalgia is.
Oh yeah.
With like, they did the Hey Arnold Jungle movie on Nickelodeon's main channel. Didn't do well. Got great reviews. Didn't do well because
Really?
Yeah, apparently that's from what I've read. It's kind of hard to get numbers for this kind of stuff. So it was just like, well then, that didn't do well. Let's push the Rocco Modern Life and Invader Zim specials onto Netflix, and then those did well from what numbers you can obtain from those specials. Nostalgia, like, the people who have Netflix are the target audience for something like Jodie.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts about the Solar Opposites and Crossing Swords renewals?
Yeah, no, I'm not really surprised by that. Solar Opposites was like the most popular comedy ever on Hulu. So
yeah, it's like
plus the last episode was just begging for more.
Yeah, you can't do a story focused show and then drop something with a cliffhanger at the end if you don't make more shows.
Exactly.
Yeah. So many shows learn it the hard way.
Yeah, and I'll be saving more thoughts on Crossing Swords for when we talk about it on the next filler episode, which we'll be talking about Brand New Animal and Close Enough. I watched the first episode and I was it's kind of like the same Robot Chicken kind of stuff that I saw, but of course it's the first episode. You can't just say, oh, this is what the whole series is going to be like. But no, this is good for adult animation. It's breaking in and with everything going on right now, why not dive into animation? Which is what we're going to be doing now that we have all of the news stuff out of the way.
Yes, let's first dive into, I guess, the most controversial of the two. This is A Whisker Away.
Yeah, so I've mentioned this film a couple times for a couple different episodes. This is the new film by Studio Colorido, the same studio behind Penguin Highway. It's being directed by Junichi Sato, Tomotaka Shibayama, and it's being written by Mario Okada. It was set to release on June 18th of this year, but of course, due to everything going on, it was delayed. The English dub is also delayed, so right now it's only available in Japanese with English subtitles. But it got picked up by Netflix for a worldwide release. Now, from those names alone, like Junichi Sato has Sailor Moon in his resume, you would think this movie would have been like one of the top 5 animated films of the year, especially with Mario Okada and her talent in writing. Well, there is a cloud that kind of hangs over A Whisker Away. But I guess let's talk about the positives first, because this movie is solid.
Yeah, it's if nothing else, it's a movie that does get better once we get over the hump that is the premise.
Yeah, so for anyone who doesn't know, it's about a girl named Mio Sasaki. No, wait, I'm sorry. No, yes, that's it, actually.
She goes by the nickname of Mug.
Yeah, Mug. That's such a fun thing to say. So she falls in love with a boy at her school and goes after him kind of relentlessly, but it's partially a coping mechanism because she's going through a pretty rough family life right now. Her parents got divorced. Her mom dropped out of the picture until fairly recently. And her dad's seeing another woman. So, there's all that fun stuff that you want to do and encounter when you're a kid. And one night during a festival, she runs off from her mom, who is being kind of like pressuring her, saying like, "Hey, come live with me. No pressure." And she meets not a humanoid cat, but a very chunky Totoro-shaped cat named the Mask Seller. And he's just like, "Yo, it sounds like you don't want to be a human anymore. Why don't I give you a cat mask so you can transform into a cat?" And she takes up the offer, and anytime she puts on the mask and does a backflip, or I guess forward flip, when she turns into a cat. So this tiny, cute little kitten named Taro. And she uses this ability to go after the boy of her dreams, Kento Hinode. Hopefully I said that last name correctly. And unfortunately to her, the more she uses the mask, the more time she is, going to become a cat. And the Mask Seller is kind of like, I want your human lifespan. That'd be kind of nice because, I gave you a mask. You're able to creep on your boyfriend. No pressure. I just want your human soul. So before we get to that, and I'm kind of hinting at what the big problem with this movie is, let's talk about some positives. First off, this is Studio Colorido. The animation is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty fluid, good designs. And when it breaks into the second half of the film, are we talking about spoilers?
We can do light spoilers.
Yeah.
Basically, like this one area that represents maybe heaven or hell, depending on your outlook. It looks great. It's this big, giant tree, and it's kind of like if the Kodamas from Princess Mononoke had a village built into the trees. And The animation really shines with the different cat designs and the mask seller, who is basically this big, blobbish individual who is just delightfully evil, not super subtle about being evil. And
He's basically Ursula if she was a male but also a cat.
Oh my god. I can't believe I didn't see that.
Yeah, no, the animation definitely shows with him as he floats around, pops around, squeezes into pipes, pots, different small areas. He's definitely like the best animated character of the film, and they do find like creative aspects, like when they find this big tree village and such. Like, it's a visually stunning film. Like, there's nothing wrong with the animation on a technical point. And since this is Mario Kata, there are some heavy themes that if you pull back the cute cat wearing masks shenanigans, this film is about depression.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Hooray.
that really tough topic to tackle respectfully, because you don't want to come off dismissive and such. Now, a colleague of ours, Ruben Barron, wrote this in his review, and I think it's a pretty smart thing to say. When she turns into the cat, it's basically her harming herself because she doesn't want to be human, because the human world sucks. And it's hard to not see some like that kind of element, because it's like she finds nothing but suffering in the human world, so she turns into a cat and is happy.
It's like that's her escape.
That's her escape, and the mask seller is basically death. Just kind of saying, like, pushing her more and more to be a cat, because throughout the film he's constantly telling her, man, being a cat is great. You get to lie around, people feed you, you get to lick your own butt.
Yay!
I want that.
Basically, you just get to be a cat, be the greatest life ever. And it's definitely like there's something else going on under all that cat fur and catnip. And when the second half of the film starts, the film kind of picks up. The first half is kind of slow. For a film that's like an hour 43, it's really sluggish.
Uh-huh.
A lot of it is just like the slice of life stuff with her becoming a cat from time to time and then dealing with the cat mask seller. Yeah, I guess we should go into negatives. Mike, would you like to talk about the elephant in a room?
Yeah, let's rip the Band-Aid off. See, here's my problem. There's kind of a tonal dissonance between the fun, kind of quirky nature of this premise that she gets to turn to a cat and like get closer to her love interests, but once you strip out the quirk, what essentially she's doing is she's stalking. She's stalking Kento, and that's not okay. It's not okay to to spy on your love interest and then you use that knowledge to press your advances.
Yeah, that's like we just said. It's the real stinking point. And I know it's like there's going to be like, well, what's the problem? And it's like, well, reverse the genders.
Yeah.
If the lead was a boy doing this, you would not hear the end of it. It is creepy how she goes about it. She harasses him, teases him, and says stuff like, hey, let me get my tape recorder out and record your voice. That's so creepy.
The first thing we see her do to him is she basically runs up to him and slams her butt to his side.
Yeah, she's very harassing. And
something that I brought up in my Letterboxd review is, and this may just be lost in translation, but I don't think the film ever really explains the relationship between Mewg and the love interest, because
Kento.
Kento, because like there are a handful of scenes where we're kind of in Mio's mind. Oh, and just as an aside, I kind of love the design of all the background characters are scarecrows.
Yeah, when Mio goes into one of her trances, everyone turns into like these scarecrow like things.
But they look like lollipops with arms.
Yeah, it's a very neat little creative touch. It's kind of like in a Silent Voice when the main character shuts himself away from the world. Everyone has an X over their face. Just a little example of something you could do with animation.
Yeah. But back to what I was saying, like, because there's like so many different scenes that kind of blur the lines between fantasy and reality. I don't think it was ever made clear like exactly the relationship that these two had. Like, were they friends when they were younger, and Mio suddenly develops a crush on him, or is he kind of like the male version of the little redhead girl, and Mio is just being a creep, just for the sake of it?
Yeah, it's like you have to be careful if you're going to have a character that stalks like another or like the other main characters. Like there are films that do that, like The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, and there are plenty of shonen anime where one character just I want to be with you, but I'm too shy and I just don't know if I can ever get close to you, so I'll watch far away from you from like 20 feet. And you either have to show that their stalking or creepy attitude is not okay, like in The Night is Short, Walk On Girl. Anytime the main character tries to get closer without actually to the main female character without actually getting to know her, he is absolutely punished. There is no like hand wavingness away or anything like that.
Now, to the film's credit, I like how at least once in a while Mewg's best friend gets to like say her piece and be like, "Yo, cut it out and be normal."
Yeah, and it's hard to get invested with with Mio as a character because of this, and the only way you kind of relate to invest into her is because a lot of the other characters that you encounter
are complete
scumbags. Yeah, they're garbage, and not even for kids. You can write yes, I know the joke is preteens and teens are horrible, monstrous individuals.
But even for like that age group, they're still the two characters whose name I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, that's fine.
It doesn't matter because they're garbage. They are literally my least favorite.
Yeah, they're the bully characters in the film, and they are just awful. But that's kind of a bad writing defense mechanism. Oh, we have an unlikable character? Well, we'll just make someone worse. Then it'll put them in context, and the movie does unfortunately hand wave a lot of this stalker element, a lot of the unlikable elements. It's just kind of like, you know what? After all that we went through, yeah, let's be a couple. And it's like, nope. Jacob, any thoughts?
I think you can kind of write this off as just her, she's a teenager who's going to that doesn't excuse what she's doing, obviously, but I don't know. I thought this movie was cute enough for me to overlook that to a degree. Yeah, this movie I think was basically just fluff. It's just kind of, it does. The main vibe I was getting from this movie was The Cat Returns meets being John Malkovich.
I could say that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and I'm being more critical about this movie because of the talent involved.
Yeah.
But it also doesn't help that on Netflix, like I pulled up the page, A Whisker Away, and I'm looking at the more like this section. I'm finding so many other movies that deal with like relationships and depression and such that are better. Like there's Mirai, there's Beastars, there's Miss Hokusai, there's A Silent Voice, there's In This Corner of the World, there's Oko's Inn, Lou Over the Wall, The Garden of Words, The Breadwinner, Modest Heroes, and the show that I introduced Mike with anime, Dorohedoro.
Mm.
And it's like when there are other films in this kind of category and competition, you really can't slack off. And unfortunately, that's A Whisker Away does not slack. It gets better when the second half, when Miyu runs into the cat mask seller, and unfortunately, the mask seller screws her over and takes a human mask from her. And it's like, okay, well, now you're going to turn into a cat faster and whatnot. So, and it like this film has like little creative touches, like when you turn into a cat, the more you stay as a cat, the less you can understand humans. And I like that, like later on when they're at the big old tree village, she meets a bunch of cats that were once human, and they ran away from their problems by the symbolicness of putting on a cat mask and giving up on your human life. So there's something there. I think this movie needed another look through, at least dialogue and story wise.
Yeah, I agree with that. I looked at the film a little more holistically, and someone on my Facebook asked if this is worth a watch. I said it's a good movie, but with a huge asterisk. Like if you can get over the hump that is the the first half, then like the movie does end on a high note. And speaking of high notes, I really like the song in the closing credits.
It's a good song.
Yeah, that is a bop right there.
I forgot how that goes.
It slaps, it bops, it does all of that and all that jazz. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say. It's good. It could be a lot better, and it's probably the biggest disappointment in the foreign animation scene, at least for this year so far. I definitely would watch this over Scoob and other films animated films on Netflix. But yeah, it's kind of hard. It's like watching Pixar's Brave. You get through the first half, the second half gets better, but you still have to go through the first half.
I mean, wait. Do you mean second half? Do you mean after the mom turns into a bear? Do you think it gets better?
I think the movie gets better afterwards.
I wholeheartedly disagree with that.
You think it gets worse after the bear?
Yeah, most people do. Okay,
I don't know. There's something about the second act for me that works better because they're able to flex a little more with visual storytelling, and that's why I don't know. Maybe this is a hot take that I think Brave's second half is better than the first half because I can't stand the first half. At least
we'll just say that for a different time, I guess.
Yeah.
Fine, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts about A Whisker Away from you two?
It's just it's cute. It's fluffy. It's I actually find a little bit endearing their interaction. I as creepy as subjectively they are, I do think it was kind of sweet how she was willing to defend him from those guys who were calling him lazy. Basically, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I just that's really a problematic subtext but I thought it was cute enough for me to overlook that. If you just want to see it, it's just a cute little time waster. It gets the job done, I guess, and I suppose you could go with worse.
Mike, any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. I recommend this just enough since it's free. It's free if you have Netflix. It's one of those like check it out if you're curious, but it's not a high recommendation.
Yeah, same here. It's like I said, it's not the worst film of the year. There are plenty of Netflix animated films like the Pokemon, the first movie remake on Netflix that I think is way worse. Um, but yeah, you can't. It's hard to get past the first half, especially when there are other G Kids animated films on there like Oko's In that deal with this kind of topic better when you're dealing with grief and such. But still, even if the main character is a stalker, I've seen much, much worse stalkers in anime. There are some pretty repugnant people. Miyu is just like a bowl of vanilla ice cream compared to some of the characters you see in anime.
Yeah.
But speaking of G Kids, let's move on to Marona's Fantastic Tale.
Yeah.
So this is the movie by Anka Damian, who, if you're partaking in the Annecy stuff, has a new movie coming out called The Island that we talked about in the Annecy preview guide. So this was her movie from 2019, and it was brought over by G Kids. It partook in the Annecy Film Festival from 2019, lost out to films like I Lost My Body, and was a premiere film at the Animation is Film Festival, where I first saw it, and took home one of the major awards alongside Weathering with You, I Lost My Body, and The Swallows of Kabul. And unfortunately, due to everything that is going on, again, that's the common villain of all of this, you can't go to a theater to see this. So why are we talking about it? Well, G Kids, through a bunch of theaters, is doing the virtual theater experience. So if you go to the website for this film and you would like to watch it, you can go through one of their virtual theater experiences, which is pretty helpful since we kind of time and time again have said G Kids has an issue with distribution, and a lot of times people cannot see these movies. So this was
which frustrates the hell out of me as an animation fan.
Yeah, and I'm super lucky because I live in Austin, Texas, and we have about like 500 movie theaters. We'll see after all this, where I can see these. So I'm pretty fortunate, but for a lot of people, it's not on it's not on the table to see it. Now, this film is about a dog, and I would say this is a spoiler, but it's like the first thing you see that happens in the film. The dog dies. And goes through, and the movie is about her going through her life and the many owners that she encounters that even give her different names. So, for one of the new G Kids releases, do you guys have any like quick opening thoughts?
I've got one.
Go ahead.
This movie is the best movie that I've seen in 2020 so far,
Wow.
and B, probably the most perfect example of what I tell people all the time, that animation is limitless. This movie is the hold my beer example of such limitless possibilities.
Alrighty, that's a pretty good opening statement if I do say so myself. So, Jacob, quick opening thoughts?
I really enjoyed this one. It was a very heartwarming. It was a very sweet. It was a very experimental. I loved the visuals of this movie. It was just one visual surprise after another. It was just it was an out of body experience in a way as an animated film. It tugs on the heartstrings in a way that most other dog movies don't. You know, it's not as manipulative as other movies like this, like Marley and Me, for instance. And yeah, I admired the heck out of this movie.
Yeah, it's interesting because now we've been through so many of those movies where it's about life and love and death and all that jazz through the eyes of the dog, with A Dog's Purpose 1 and 2. Yes, there's 2 of them. And then there's a few others. There's that Racing in the Rain. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that kind of I hope people look at this film and don't think of those, because this is the pure, earnest, I want to actually tell a story kind of narrative. Whereas those other films may be harmless, just nobody cares about them in the end, because they really just drop out of this pop culture world really fast. But they're way more cynical. And I know you don't want to hear that. And I'm sure the people are doing their best with those kind of movies, but Marona's Fantastic Tale is the perfect way of doing those movies. And like we've talked about, the animation itself is one of the highlights of the film, where it's 2D, but it also mixes in very trippy, dreamlike visuals and sequences. And one of the fun things about it is that each owner has their own different animation style.
Mm-hmm.
They're all, like I said, they're all 2D, but how they move is very much a Hotel Transylvania thing, because the first one she encounters is a trapeze artist, and you watch him move. He's very smooth. He's very I'm going to wiggle around and contort and stretch and bob and weave, and it looks stunning just to watch him move. He's probably the best animated character out of the movie. But that's
agreed.
Just
I also think he's probably my favorite owner.
Easily.
I do like her final owner, mostly because she's emotionally tied to the book, the bookend of the film. But everything about Minol, from the way he really connects with Anna, is what he names her. Everything from his connection to just the fact that he's not human. His body is made up of stripes that he can remove at any time. And
yeah,
and just the way he moves is so it's so floaty, noodly. It's just completely mesmerizing.
Yeah, and one of the core themes of the film is happiness, because we may take it for granted, but a lot of just what our dogs want is just to be with us. This is very much about the connection between the human and the dogs, and humans with dogs. And every human that she Marona, or 9, Anna, Sarah, Marona goes through, is dealing with a lack of happiness. Now, when she's with the Manole, or Manol, she he's poor, but as long as Anna is with him, he's pretty happy. He loves being with her. And then, unfortunately, he falls into despair when he gets a offer to be at a Cirque du Soleil kind of circus group or entertainment group, and he can't take Marona with him. Sorry. And he's just no, I don't need you. I don't need that. I'm not going to go anywhere without you. But it hurts Marona, and she leaves. And then you meet not Istvan.
It's Istvan.
Oh, Istvan. Okay. Who is a very like calm, quiet individual. I've said, every human has a different design and a different animation quirk to them. He's big, but he's very soft. So he has like a very soft blue color to him, and his happiness is with her. Unfortunately, with dealing with a mother who is not all there, and a very vipery fiance.
Karen.
Yeah. What?
No, Jacob called Istvan's fiance a Karen.
Oh, yes. I thought you said my name. I'm sorry. I was like, what? Did I say something wrong? No. Yeah, and you can tell his wife is very manipulative. It's like, oh, why don't you just spend time with me? I can't live without you. And she is portrayed as a monster, a literal, not figurative monster, especially when you find out that she likes having a dog, but in the same way a social media influencer has a dog. It gets its popularity. It's a accessory. It's not an animal. It's not a pet. It's not something that you take care of. And she's probably the most despicable character of the movie. And it's as sad. Or and then the final film, all right, not the final film, the final owners, Solange and her single mother and grandfather. The grandfather moves like a wind-up toy, like a tin soldier, and it's a lot of fun to hear the twists and turns when he moves. It's kind of like hearing the gears moving in like an old-fashioned wind-up lead toy. But what do you all think about the other owners?
I like the other owners. I like the animation of Solange's grandpa more than I like his kind of grumpy personality. But the other thing I kind of don't like is that I don't like how it's not his personality is not quite as consistent as the others. The grandpa, despite getting the dog's name wrong every single time, they're he still likes spending time with her. So that was nice. I just wish his character was a little bit more focused.
Yeah, the pacing can be probably one of the film's few minor downfalls. You spend a lot of time with Istvan, his mother, and his wife. And by the time you get to Solange and her family, it's you only have 20 minutes left in the film. So it kind of feels rushed at the end. Jacob, any thoughts about the owners? Or any observations?
Not much. They were just all basically reflections of different aspects of humanity, like you said. They have their problems, they have their flaws, but overall they all have something to gain from Marona in a way. They all.
Yeah. Now, this was something that I kind of encountered with a few people I've talked to about this film. They think it's a little too negative, a little too depressing.
What?
I think it has to be because the beginning of the film shows Marona getting hit by a car. So
right, that's the bookend.
That's the bookend. It can't be happy. And now a lot of the times when I hear this, it kind of sounds like they're saying it's a little nihilistic or just it's too cynical, too pessimistic. But it's it's a very morally gray human story with Marona's fantastic tale. And I just don't agree with it being too negative. It's a downer of an ending, but that kind of happens with this kind of stuff. And the film is about life. It's about finding your happiness and just not taking it for granted.
Here's my problem with people people's take that the movie's too negative. I think they're kind of missing the point of bookending the movie with the shot of Marona pretty much dying on the street. Like the movie's not about the bookends. It's about her life in the middle. Like the reason she's looking back so fondly of her life from when she was born to her final owner is because she is, at the end of the day, basically admitting, despite all my troubles, despite not feeling loved in the beginning, I met some of the most wonderful human beings.
Yeah, this is a real tear jerker, especially if you have a dog. I have one, and I used to have two, but I lost one of them last year who passed away. And
I lost mine 5 years ago, and in some ways I'm still kind of not over it because he was a pretty big part of the family growing up.
Yeah. No, and it's not like it's tough to talk about this because when I talk about finding happiness, I get worried that some people are going to take it as you should be happy with what you have, or they're just going to interpret this movie's themes of happiness like that, and that's not the point of the movie.
Exactly.
It's not saying you should just be happy with what you have. It's to be just when you see that happiness, you grab onto it. You do not let go.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, that due to outside sources outside of forces outside of Marona's control, she's not able to hold on to it except for some very fond memories of the owners that she's been with. I guess I don't really have a whole lot to complain about this movie. Like I said, I think the pacing's takes a little bit too much time in the middle, but that's such a minor nitpick. I really don't have anything to complain about with this movie.
Yeah, I agree. Pretty much there's a little stretch in between Isvan and Solange that I was kind of nodding off a little bit as I was watching, but other than that, I was pretty much fully entranced from start to finish.
Yeah. Oh, and the animation, by the way, does not just stick with the owners. Everyone has a unique kind of visual flair to them. Like when you with Manole, when he's getting offered the gig at the Cirque du Soleil Sal show, it's just a person with a trench coat, with the hat, the trench coat, the shoes. That's all you see. You don't see that.
It is a bar.
Oh, something else I noticed is the trench coat guy and the dog catchers are probably two of the most obvious examples of CG models in what's otherwise a
2D film.
Yeah, there might be another example of a few cars that are on the streets that look a bit more three-dimensional.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just something cool I noticed, how these two CG characters are framed as villains, as threats to Marona. So I kind of found that to be a nice touch.
Yeah, and I can maybe see some people finding the visual style a bit too busy, but I think that kind of works more with with the movie than anything else, because not only is it using more dreamlike visuals, it's kind of this is what the dog sees.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
And it works because sometimes, yes, a lot of animated films can be we're just going to throw everything at the screen. It's going to be too much. It's going to you won't be able to read the visuals.
This was more controlled chaos.
Yeah, you can make it work. It's just you have to be smart about it. And since I'm still going through the Annecy stuff, Anka Damien has a very good eye about that, and her team knows how to keep it controlled. Like, you don't get confused about what everything is. It's like, yeah, like you said, it's controlled chaos. You know what it is, even if everything looks wildly out of proportion. Any other like nitpicks or criticisms?
I'm
None,
I'm fresh out.
yeah, none for me. I'm not kind of one. When and there's something so minor, minor criticism, I don't even feel the need to bring it up. I do look at a movie more holistically. I don't really measure the pros and cons like some other people do. But yeah, this is, I think the biggest hurdle people that it will have with people is that it's just so abstract and so visually creative that it might be hard for some people to get emotionally invested into it. But if anything, I think the visuals helped the emotions along. It really shows how much of a difference the presentation of an image can be, as opposed to the way it's written, for instance. If you know, like, I think the visuals really help the writing in this case, to get the certain feelings across.
Alrighty. Well, I think in general, I think we all agree we'd highly recommend doing a virtual theater experience for Morona's Fantastic Tale.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. This week, instead of recommendations, because once we do the Annecy preview, that will basically just be nothing but recommendations for what we saw. This week, I have a more macro recommendation, which is, G kids, please do this more often. Please make your films more widely accessible for people who don't live in major metropolitan areas.
I think that's a pretty good recommendation, because this is the one time a lot of people are able to see films like this. And yeah, just watch this movie. It's fantastic. I put it on my worst to best of 2019. It was like number 7 out of the top 10 of last year. It's just a great experience. Jacob, any closing thoughts?
No, I do think the virtual theater is a valuable form of video on demand, just because a percentage of the profits actually go to art house theaters who really could use that money right now. And I watched mine through the Michigan Theater. That was the cinema through which I made my purchase. And I just want to know, like, what theaters did you guys give your money to?
I gave mine to a theater in Rochester, New York.
I gave mine to the Violet Crown in Austin, Texas.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
Well, I do have one recommendation. Well, I have a few, but mostly just one major one. When we're recording this, it is Father's Day, and animated dads don't get a whole lot of diverse character, like, personality and traits. It's usually like either dumb and funny or tough and serious. The one film I'd recommend people check out for Father's Day, or just like after Father's Day in this case, is Mamoru Hosoda's The Boy and the Beast, which is about a young boy who's going through another family situation of, like, the mother, if the mother dies and the dad doesn't really want to take care of him right now. So he runs away and encounters a humanoid bear man, and is taken to what is essentially Japanese Zootopia. And it's a film about different living situations for families and a father and son dynamic. And there are some minor issues I have with it, and I know people might be disappointed if they've seen Wolf Children first before this one, but I highly recommend people check out The Boy and the Beast. It should be available on Funimation streaming service, since they currently own the rights to it. And it's Mamoru Hosoda. You can't go wrong with one of his films. otherwise, like the films I mentioned earlier when we were talking about A Whisker Away, go see like Oko's Inn, A Silent Voice, Mirai. Just like those films are great.
All right. Those are some pretty solid recommendations. Jacob, do you have any before we close out?
Recommendations. Not really. There are some VOD movies that I thought were pretty good that we discussed for the Streaming Wars one which should be available soon because we're kind of going through some technical difficulties. But some that I recommended were Blue Story, which is a crime drama from Britain. It's a very Shakespearean movie in tone, as opposed to these two best friends who are now torn apart because of rival gangs and such in different sides of London. It's a very immersive, very dramatic, very engaging flick, and I recommend it. It's one of my favorite movies that I talked about in that episode.
Nice. There is one more recommendation that I have. If you saw Marona's Fantastic Tale and you want another French animated film to check out, I would recommend the ever awesome film from 2003 called The Triplets of Belleville. I saw this.
Yes.
I saw this for the first time like about a month ago, and it just kind of blew me away. I'm starting to really fall in love with French animators and their kind of quirky but very unique style. So that's one that I would definitely recommend.
That's a great movie. The director also has another movie that he made after Triplets called The Illusionist.
That was good too.
Yeah, that one's also really good. Really, French animation is just European animation in general is so creative and vibrant. And films like Marona's Fantastic Tale, The Triplets of Belleville, and The Illusionist is why I love looking for this stuff, because it's just there's more out there than just what the big U.S. studios make. And Marona's Fantastic Tale is one of those films.
Well said. Now, we've come to the end of our program. Cameron, Jacob, where can everyone find you guys?
You can find me on Facebook. I am Jacob Crable. That is Krehbiel. I'm also part of the Renegade Pop Culture group on Facebook, and I am also currently in the midst of continuing with my 23 Marvelous movie series. I should have my review of Captain America: The Winter Soldier up very, very soon. So be on the lookout for that.
Awesome. And Cameron?
You can find me on Facebook. I'm in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group. You can find me on Twitter at Cam's Eye View. I also have my own website called camseyeview.biz where you can find a lot of my film and animation reviews and editorials. I'll be working on my own personal review for A Whisker Away, but it's kind of going to be similar to what we say here, to what we said tonight. And I also have a Patreon at patreon.com/camseyeview. If you like what you've heard or you like my work, you can, support me through that way if you can.
Awesome. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CaptainK42. Check out my quick thoughts on letterboxd.com/CoachK42. And look for me in the Renegade Pop Culture Facebook group and all the other film Facebook groups just at my name. Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, on Anchor, or just go right to renegadepopculture.com. This has been another episode of Tooned Out. Check you guys later.
Bye.
Yeah.